Today on the channel, we pity all the fools that don't climb aboard the A-Team with WrestleMania 1 Mattel Ultimate Edition, Mr. T.
The spirit of Ultimate Warrior will run forever!
Welcome everyone, Kyle here, and welcome back to the channel for another WWE Mattel Ultimate unboxing and review. And today on the channel, we've got the WWE Mattel Ultimate WrestleMania 1 Mr. T. Yes, Mr. T, he is back in the wrestling world, of course, through Mattel, through the action figure form. Not the real wrestling world. I think WrestleMania Hall of Fame speech was the last time we saw him in the WWE, of course. But Mr. T, no stranger to wrestling, as we know. Even a brief stint in WCW back in the day, a little bit forgotten about. And some things that are forgotten about as well with Mr. T is, if you didn't grow up in the height of Mr. T mania, the early 80s, I remember being a little kid watching the A-Team, of course, playing A-Team. Remember, I had the G.I. Joe A-Team figures when I was a little kid. They were about G.I. Joe sized. The A-Team was a big deal. Mr. T was a huge deal. Obviously, coming off the Rocky movie, the A-Team franchise, then joining up with Hulk Hogan in wrestling. And it's very funny, all these years later, people think kind of Hulk Hogan gave Mr. T the rub. That was not the case. Mr. T was one of the biggest superstars in the world. Bigger than Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania 1 time frame. It depends where you sit and where you are later down. Is Mr. T more famous than Hulk Hogan after all is said and done as we sit here in 2022? Personally, to me, Hulk Hogan is more known than Mr. T, but way back in the early 80s, there was no doubt everybody knew who Mr. T was. Not everybody knew who Hulk Hogan was at the time. So Mr. T was a huge part of WrestleMania, and I think revisionist history or just people forgetting the past, all these years later, a lot of younger people coming into things, they don't realize how big of a deal this was. And of course, WrestleMania 1, a little bit before my wrestling time. I came into it right after WrestleMania 3 is when I started watching as a little kid. But I did have a VHS store like many of us did at the time. And I remember WrestleMania 1, renting that on VHS numerous times back in the day. Never been my favorite WrestleMania. Even then when I was a little kid, you know, WrestleMania 3, 4, 5, 6, that's my height of fandom of WWE WrestleManias, WWF WrestleManias. I remember watching WrestleMania 1 and it feeling a little dated to me even at the time, which was a little strange. As Hulk Hogan had changed a little bit, the presentation had changed a lot. A lot had changed in just a few years, but I'll never forget that VHS cover, that kind of artwork cover of Hogan and Mr. T. It still brings me back to my childhood movie store, seeing that one on the shelf all the time. So Mr. T, definitely deserving a WrestleMania Elite, or I should say Ultimate, but we have got other Mr. T figures. We all know the Masters WWE Universe, we got one of those. We got the Roddy Piper 2-pack with Mr. T in the boxing gear. We had to get that one. We got a more of an A-Team Street Gear San Diego Comic-Con Mr. T exclusive back in the day. Of course, this Ultimate Edition, there's been rumors of maybe some more, maybe a basic Mr. T coming one of these days. And I think they're firing all these Mr. Ts out because time is short probably in the contract window. They only have the license for a certain amount of time. Let's make sure we get all these done. Personally, I wouldn't be opposed to a WCW Mr. T, a little older version of Mr. T. I'm okay with that if that's in the cards, but all the Mr. T figures that we've got, including the Masters WWE Universe 1, I'm a fan of. I thought they were all done very, very well. Hopefully this will be the same case, and there's only one way to find out if this is in the same case is we got to take a look at the packaging, we got to talk about it, we got to unbox it, we got to talk about it, just like we always do here on the channel. So we got that typical Ultimate Edition package style here. We've seen it, we know it, we love it. Interesting angles, all that kind of stuff to the box, the Ultimate Edition logo. Mr. T, tons of accessories in here. We'll dive through all that when we get him out of the package. There's old Mr. T getting ready to pity a couple of fools right there, looking only like Mr. T could look if he was on an Ultimate Edition package, looking a lot like his San Diego Comic-Con figure. Mr. T on the side, of course, and then on the back, we got the old blurb, we got the tail of the tape, we got him messing up old Roddy Piper in the old airplane spin, and then you got a real-life version of that down there. Let's read the blurb. Let's see what's going on. Let's see what old Mr. T is up to. 5'10". He's just a little guy. In my mind, in a lot of people's minds, I'm sure we think of him as being a giant, like 6'4", 6'5", but he's just a little guy. He's under 6 feet tall, old Mr. T. He definitely has the aura of being larger than life. I would say that's a good one. From Chicago, Illinois, beautiful this time of year. I was just over there the other day. It was very rainy, I'll let you know that. Finisher, the old airplane spin, career highlight, WWE Hall of Fame inductee. I guess that would, I don't know, I'd say the WrestleMania 1 matches is WWE career highlight. I think that has to be it, but you know, he loves his mom, and we know he talked about her a lot in that Hall of Fame induction, so maybe that is the best. I don't know. And it is Mother's Day week going on. Happy Mother's Day to all you mothers out there. Mr. T doesn't have any time for any jibber jabber, and boy, isn't that the case. At the first WrestleMania, he put a little star power into his knockout punches when he teamed with Hulk Hogan in the main event. He showed Rowdy Roddy Piper and Paul Orndorff why he pities the fool who steps into the ring with Mr. T. Always love a good blurb. You know I love that stuff. Gets the point across, very basic, but that's what you need on the back of these packages. I love it. I'm all here for it. And like I said, Mr. T, major star back in the day. The A-Team, the Rocky movie. His cereal, of course. We all love Mr. T's cereal. And then he had that cartoon that was really weird. I remember I used to watch it on USA. It was probably reruns at the time. But he had this like team of gymnastics wizards with him. All these gymnasts and Mr. T. It was a very strange cartoon. The 80s were strange times for cartoons, let me tell you. But Mr. T, he had a gymnastics team. He was off to the races. All kinds of adventures. I just remember watching that as a little kid back in the day. So there you go. All right, let's get all this Mr. T out of the package here. See what's doing. I'm surprised Mr. T doesn't do any more autograph signings and stuff. I don't ever hear his name at like Comic-Cons and shows like that. Maybe I just don't pay attention, but... the jibber jabber stops here, and does it ever. I say that a lot on a lot of my work calls, conference calls, Zoom meetings. I'll say, hold the phone, everybody stop. The jibber jabber stops right here. I use that line quite often in my business world life. And I also pity a lot of fools in my business life. So Mr. T and I, kind of brothers from another mother in a lot of ways. See you later off to the side. Let's get old T down here. T's going on. T for Texas, T for Tennessee. That's what Waylon Jennings used to tell me, and Mr. T chiming in there. So there he is. A lot extra head, a lot of accessories, and we'll do it. We'll dive through. We'll go through all this stuff. Some interesting stuff here. Not a lot of extra hands, not a lot of extra heads, but a lot of extra accessories with this one. So interesting time. Once again, maybe you need multiple Mr. T's. You need one with the robe on, one with the shirt on, one in wrestling gear, a min-on-card one. You could make the case that we need multiple Mr. T's in your collection. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens when these hit retail. If we can get a deal, if we can get a sale at Target or something, you know, they have a big 10, buy 2, get 1 free, or buy 2, get $20 off, something like that. I might do it. I might dabble into multiple Mr. T zone. And there it is. See you later. Oh, twist ties flying. The vacuum's going to love that later. Old Spider-Man style. See you later. Oh, the big Spider-Man style. See you later. There it goes. And we're off to the races here. We're going to start with the accessories before we get down to the figure. Looks like we got to cut some tape off him as well. We get down to the old gold chains. And one thing we learned in the 80s, you don't touch Mr. T's chains. Beautiful chains here. Got to imagine they're the exact same ones as the San Diego Comic-Con exclusive. And they for sure are. Got to get the most out of your molds. And it makes sense in this case as Mr. T. The chains are a very iconic part of Mr. T, as we all know. So we got the chains right there. Oh boy, look at this thing. Now we got one of these pump-up things that, you know, a lot of weightlifters bodybuilders. There's a difference, folks. Bodybuilders, when they're going out and they're going to their show and they're going to do all their poses and stuff and get judged, a lot of those guys back in the day, they're pumping on one of these, getting a nice little pump before the match. Mr. T used to carry one of these around. We'll never forget Rick Rude versus the Ultimate Warrior back in the day. The super pose down, of course, and getting this used as a weapon. First time in the line accessory. I don't think it'll be last time in the line. I think we'll see this again before you know it. But nice detail on this one. I got the handles on the side. Nice silver and black accents that really add to this. I like this accessory. I love first time in the line accessories, and this one fits with Mr. T because he was always carrying that thing around, as we know. We do get 2 fists with Mr. T, and if you're going to pity some fools, you can pity them from afar, and you can pity them up close with some fists if you have to, and I'm sure Mr. T did that a couple times on the mean streets of Chicago back in the day. But you got Mr. T fist right there, and he's got 2 open hands on him, so you get the best of both worlds there. And then you get the Hulkamania shirt, and this is the exact same shirt we saw with Hulk Hogan. So once again, getting the most out of your molds. We unboxed the Hulk Hogan Ultimate Edition, his partner in crime from WrestleMania 1. Check out that review on the channel if you missed that, but we got the exact same shirt here. So getting the most out of your molds. Once again, there's that. Then we get a hat. Now, this is first time in the line. This is pretty cool. I can just feel what this hat feels like. If you remember these old school 80s hats like this, they were so cheap, just so cheap quality back then. But Mr. T would wear this all over the place. I think he wore it like on TV talk shows and stuff, building up to the Wrestlemania match. It's probably a John Cena or one of the other hats. We've got Nikki Bella ones, a bit repainted. I guess I'm not a super expert on the hat accessories, but I'm sure it's started with that mold. You paint it red, you put some yellow highlights, you put the old Hulkamania logo, you're off to the races with old Mr. T right there. Very cool. And then you get a robe with Mr. T, and it's not the exact same robe as the boxing one. So I appreciate that attention to detail, not giving us the exact same robe. They could have done that and just say, ah, there it is. It is similar material. It's similar red color, but it doesn't have the black accents, does not have the black belt to it. It is truly a different robe going on. So we can put him on a robe as, you know, like he's in the Rocky movies again. You get the robe, old Clubber Lang, of course. But we get the robe right there. So a lot to like about these accessories. A lot of accessories here. A lot of cool stuff. Maybe you can use with other things. Like I said, you can use that pump-up thing, whatever that's called, with Rick Rude or the Ultimate Warrior if you want to. A lot of uses there. We do got a little rubber band around the waist. I'm going to cut that out before we get down to business here with old Mr. T. There it is. See you later. All right, Mr. T. He is ready to go. He is ready for action. Like I said, Mr. T is only 5'10", so he's not as big as you assume him to be. Looking at the articulation, of course, the hands are removable. You got the white painted on wrist tape once again. Pinless joints at the top. Pins at the bottom, unfortunately. It is what it is. They'll get to it. They'll get to it. Double jointed elbows, bicep cut, and then you got the deep butterfly joints on this one. Like I said with the Hulk Hogan, a little bit of an eyesore on the back, but who's displaying them backwards? Most people that display them, they're displaying them like this, or they maybe have the robe on, or the Hulk shirt on, or a mixed match of that, so it's not that big a deal. Definitely gives you some extra articulation, but it is a little bit of an eyesore back there, I would say. I've also, the skin tone is a little bit grayer on the inside shoulder than the darker out here. So it's just barely noticeable, but you can tell. He does have his gold chain going on, and this, once again, is the exact same gold chain we got with Hulk Hogan. So getting more reuse here with this one, but of course they are tag team partners. They do match. You do get the head that is removable side to side, and a very good Mr. T head on here. I really do like this Mr. T head. You know exactly who that is. Beautiful mohawk going on the sides, all that. Is there more, in a more iconic hairdo? I don't know if there is. This is a pretty cool one here with Mr. T. A little bit of that high, deep gloss going on. I'm just telling myself he got into Hulkster's baby oil a little bit and put some of that on there because he just have a little bit of gloss going on in his face. You get the extra head with it, and it's just as good. Not as glossy on the second head, which is an interesting one. So I think I'm going to lean towards this second head. I like that he's showing his teeth. He's getting ready to pity a couple of fools. Maybe Murdoch, if he's on an episode of the A-Team, he might be screaming at Murdoch a little bit. But I think I like the second one with the teeth showing just a hair more. But once again, I wouldn't be opposed to making a Street Gear Mr. T. You know, trying to figure something out, that using some of these extra pieces, making something happen. I don't know. Have to look into that and get the mind working and work onto that one of these days. But this is a very, very good head. Both heads, phenomenal on this one. You get the articulation, of course, waist articulation. You got the diaphragm. You got some big hula hoop action going on there with Mr. T. Just like him and Face are out back at catering doing a hula hoop competition back in the A-Team days. You do get the thigh cut. You do get the double jointed knees. Of course, the ankle articulation. And then the Todd McFarlane toe articulation. Got the nice racing stripe on his tights here all the way down. Looks really good. Of course, they do get misaligned if you turn the body. And then you get knee pads here. He's got the kind of, I don't know, circular graphic there at the knee pads, the old Mr. T knee pads. Gold boots, red laces, gold boots, blue laces down here. Very, very good looking Mr. T figure. I cannot talk anything bad about this. I don't know if I like it as much as the Hulkster. I'm going to tell you, I don't like it as much as the Hulkster one. But man, this is a good Ultimate Edition. If I had to do a video one day of my top 10 Ultimate Edition figures so far, I got to tell you, he may be in the top 10. I'd have to put the pen to the paper, but this is still a really good one. Maybe it's because I was such a big Mr. T fan growing up, too. It's really cool to get something like this. I love the A-Team. Of course, I loved his wrestling stuff. Loved his cereal, loved his gymnastics cartoon. I just loved me some Mr. T. Pop that hat on, see how well that fits, and that hat fits really good on Mr. T. Man, you really can't go wrong with this Mr. T either, just like the Hulk Hogan. Put him on a stand, and man, he's off to the races. All 5'10" of old Mr. T. Get him next to a couple other Mr. T figures. Boy, I don't know. I do really like the San Diego Comic-Con one. This was the first one, the one that started the Mr. T revolution of the last few years with Mattel. This is a really good one. I love the camo and all that kind of stuff, but this is his most iconic wrestling gear, I think we'd say. This is more street gear, A-Team commercial Mr. T, going on the Tonight Show Mr. T. I'm sure this hat fits over here, so you could swap that over there if you really were so inclined. You could do that. But boy, you can't go wrong with any of these Mr. T figures. And then there's the Hulkster that you could put right side by side. What a team. You had Jimmy Superfly Snuka. Let's get an Ultimate Jimmy Snuka. I don't think that's ever going to happen, though, with his later life issues he had, as we all know. But it'd be cool to get a Snuka here, get us a Piper. A Piper Ultimate has to be coming. I've said last year, I said there's going to be a Piper Ultimate, an NWO Macho Man Ultimate, and a Macho King Ultimate. That's got to be coming from Mattel. I guarantee they will. Well, so far the prophecy has come true. We are getting the NWO Macho Man Ultimate. I just got to think a Piper Ultimate will be coming. Hopefully we have different shirts and stuff, because it'd be great to really have that WrestleMania 1 main event. We got Pat Patterson, which I turned into a ref, which you could do. Get us a Muhammad Ali. I don't know if that's going to ever happen, but you never know. Stranger things have happened. But get Snuka to go along here. We got a lot of Orndorffs we could use. Piper, of course. We got Cowboy Bob Orton multiple times in the line. So we really built out that WrestleMania 1 main event. But as far as these two Ultimate Editions, slam dunk must-haves. Two very much possibilities for the top 10 Ultimate figures of the year. I don't know how they wouldn't be on that list, but we'll stay tuned for the end of the year when we do that list. But what do you think on Mr. T? What do you think on Hulk Hogan? You picking these up? You passing? You picking and choosing? Let me know in the comments down below. And you made it this far, you might as well like the video. Subscribe to the channel, turn the old notification bell on, and follow along on Patreon for these videos earlier than traditional YouTube, bonus content, giveaways, all that fun stuff. And best of all, on the Patreon, you support the channel, of course. And then you can hit me up on social media. Follow along over there at SirPaul64 on Twitter, Instagram, _Kyle_Peterson, and ProWrestlingTees.com. Search Kyle Peterson. So I'm off to pity a couple of fools. Until next time, for Mr. T, I'm Kyle. See you guys all real soon.